Right, we've got a 6-mark question here. I should really say 6 marks at the end of it, shouldn't it? I'll put that in your books. Got a 6-mark question here about a fairly minor specification point, if I'm honest. And the specification point talks about the ways we represent a molecule in a diagram and what we can learn from it. Okay, so it says here a water molecule can be drawn in many different ways. Look at each representation in turn and explain what we can learn from it. So first one here, water, H2O. That simply tells us it's made of 2 hydrogen atoms and 1 oxygen atom. 1 oxygen atom. Doesn't tell us anything about the bonding or the shape of it or the size of the atoms or anything like that. This next diagram here, H-O-H, where it tells us here that the oxygen, it tells us it's made of 2 times hydrogen and 1 times oxygen again, but it tells us more than that. It tells us the oxygen forms 2 bonds. Oxygen atom forms 2 bonds, doesn't tell us how, and hydrogen 1 bond. Okay, this next diagram here tells us that the oxygen's bigger than the hydrogen, isn't it? Oxygen is bigger than hydrogen. And the molecule gives us an idea about the molecule shape as well, doesn't it? The molecule is V-shaped. The previous diagrams didn't show that. This next diagram here, okay, gives us an idea of the shape of the actual molecule itself. Gives us an idea of the 3-dimensional shape as well, 3D shape. It's a 2-dimensional diagram, obviously, but it's been drawn in a way that we can get an idea of the 3D representation of that molecule. Gives an idea of the 3D shape of the molecule. Doesn't tell us anything about bonding though. Doesn't tell us about the bonding, the type of bonding. And our final diagram down here, this is a dot and cross diagram. Dot and cross diagram. Tells us how the covalent bonds, because it's sharing electrons, aren't they? How the covalent bonds are formed. Doesn't tell us, however, it doesn't tell us anything at all, anything about the shape of the molecule. These diagrams here tell us about the shape of the molecule, this diagram doesn't. So basically we pick the diagram type that's going to help us illustrate what we want to talk about. And all these representations have strengths and weaknesses. And that's the sort of thing we're going to have to write about if you ever get a 6-mark question, as the 2022 cohort did on this subject. All these questions and more on ayleshamhighchemistry.com.